Hi folks, you were Tacitus today, excuse me, Tacitus today, your pushback channel, and thank you for joining this audio live stream. Please listen to this presentation as you would a radio broadcast. In this essay, I'd like to talk about the issue of the reinstitution or the placing merit above all else in the administration of President Trump in the United States. Now, the merit system is meant to be applying now. This is from the executive order that President Trump has signed. Merit is meant to apply now for all hiring and promotion and rewarding and so on. Now you can tell, I think, from the media, legacy media is desperately running interference and protection for DEI and affirmative action. As indeed are many of the leading Democrat senators. The globalist machine is again relentlessly pushing DEI and affirmative action and race gender quotas and so on. Merit has no place in the world, or certainly not merit as it is an accomplishment, building things, creating things, achieving things. If it's say the ability of a talking head on the media to spread terrible lies about President Trump, then that is considered as merit, and they are richly rewarded. But the incentive and reward schemes are quite perverse when one considers, again, achieving productive outcomes, meritorious outcomes. Now, unfortunately, DEI type equity, participation trophy structures, whether it be in government or whether it be in the private sector, school, education, university, anywhere you go, will always achieve a much higher buy-in than a meritocracy. The reason being is only one person can ever come first, whereas in a DEI situation, everyone comes first. Everyone gets a participation trophy. There will always be more people that will be approving of and defend participation trophy, equal outcome type things than will defend and support a meritocracy. Now, a meritocracy, of course, over the span of time will produce much better results for any society. You're going to find the cure for cancer. You're going to send rockets to the moon. You're going to, have effective, efficient, social security systems and delivery. Your army will be effective and efficient at repelling enemies and so on and so forth. So efficiency and effectiveness, the ability to build, create, and so on will be far higher under a merit system. In a merit system, more jobs will be created, and there'll be better paying jobs, and so on. So the society will benefit. You want the smartest guy to be researching. You want the smartest guy to be researching doing medical research to find the cure for cancer. You want that. You don't want the least capable guy doing it, because then you'll never find the cure for cancer. You'll never get a rocket to the moon, and so on. So there are obvious benefits in a meritorious system. Now, the only way to achieve merit is to have things like standardized testing, and so that we know who's scoring high on the maths test and who isn't, and so on. Now, I can speak from personal experience here. I've had to do a few corporate turnarounds. These haven't been huge, massive corporates, by the way. They've been, less than 500 employees type size companies. So I've had to do a few turnarounds of businesses that have lost their way, that are losing vast sums of money, and in every case they've adopted if you like, a participation trophy system, or rampant cronyism, or a combination of both. But it's always the same. Standards have fallen, and things have got out of control, and everybody's stuffing whatever goodies they can in their pockets, and they don't care anymore about the common good. And they're when it looks like the company's about to fold, they'll just accelerate their sticking money in their pockets, because they think, it's about to go, so I better grab as much as I can before the ship sinks, and so on. And you see this behaviour quite often Now, in Western society, you don't see so much of it because merit in large pockets and in large tracts in the education system until reasonably recently has been a strictly pass or fail gig, and a lot of employment, you have to pass this test or achieve a certain level of competence and a certain level of accomplishment and so on before you get promoted or you get the bonus. Did it work perfectly 100% of the time? Of course not. But it was a lot of the time and most of the time in a majority of places, and that made the difference. That's, of course, all gone. Now, when President Trump talks about merit, at least since the, I would think the Bush years really, or since the globalists began to take over, so we go back to Clinton in the United States, since then, meritocracy has been weeded out of everything, education, again, getting jobs and promotions in the public service, in the media, and so on. So the idea of the investigative reporter that gets out and finds the facts and does the heavy lifting and so on, that's all out. Anyone that can spin an outrageously false narrative that makes President Trump look bad will be richly rewarded. But in terms of doing the hard work on journalism, then no, that's not rewarded anymore. And we see the same thing again all across education and employment and so on. And there's no clearer sort of manifestation than DEI and affirmative action and so on. So now, very few people will buy into meritocracy because, again, not everyone's bright enough to come first. Excuse me, I'm coughing away here. Very few people can come first or be in the top few. And so, and most people resent not being, I wish I would come first. Look at all the, they get up in front of the school and they've got, or the university or wherever, and they get the prize and they get the accolades and everyone cheers and claps. And, I wish I was up there on the rostrum getting that prize. Well, the reason that guy's up there is because, apart from he may be naturally bright at the subject or have a great memory or whatever, typically it's going to be because he hit the books and studied his ass off. Typically that's going to be, did you do that? Well, no, I didn't. I couldn't be bothered, but I still want to come first. Yeah. Now, that's the attitude of most people. Most people, I don't want to have to put in the work. I don't have to go without anything. I don't want to have to, sit up for hours hitting the books and saying, I don't want to have to do all that, or doing revision of all the work of the school. I don't have any of that rubbish. I want to do what I want to do. I want to go out with my buddies, or I want to, I don't know, drop cones or hang out on the beach and whatever it is, but I don't want to have to put that work in. But I still want to come first. I still want those accolades. So when a DEI scheme comes along and says, you don't have to do the work anymore. You don't have to bust your ass. You don't have to hit the books. You don't do any of that. And you're going to come equal first with that guy who you've always jealously resented for coming. Wow, that sounds good to me. I don't have to give up anything. I don't have to work hard or deny myself any and I'll come first just like that guy. I mean, that I want that. So that's what DEI and affirmative action, and race gender quotas offers. You don't have to do any of the hard work, either with your behavior or with your, being conscientious, studying hard, doing well at school. You don't do any of those things, and you can still have an equal outcome. No, I think we've all, I was never a genius at mathematics, for example, and there was this kid at school who, he was so dorky and uncoordinated that you wonder if he had cerebral palsy. He went around, he had these really thick glasses, and he looked like a complete idiot. But he was very good at mathematics, and every year he would win the maths prize. And I used to think, okay, well, he's obviously not going out having he's not going out surfing or playing sports or this or that. He's at home hitting the books. And his folks were quite studious, and he was certainly encouraged to be as bookish and studious as he could. Now his social skills were, to say the least, quite minimal, but he was very, very smart at mathematics, and went on to do get a PhD in pure mathematics. So he was, and then as I recall, he went on to be a lecturer. But anyway, this was the thing about his scholastic academic ability, regardless of what you say. Well, he was such a dork, he couldn't do anything else. But it doesn't matter. He still hit the books and worked very hard at it, and was very good. And he may have. Now, I resented that at the time. Well, resent is the wrong word. I wish I was that good at mathematics. Maybe is a better way of putting it. I didn't resent him for doing well, but rather was irritated with myself for not being, better than I was at mathematics. And if I hit the books and busted my ass, I could do okay, but I was never at his level. But the point I'm trying to make here is that any exaltation of mediocrity or even sub-mediocrity will always have a big buy-in, because then everyone can be a winner, no matter what their circumstance, or perceived winner, imaginary winner, delusional winner. And they don't have to do the work. They don't have to put the effort in. They don't have to try and come first in the exam. Now, the idea of having an exam where people come first is that if you want if you want to come first or come in the top three or whatever, then you just try harder. Same as the athlete who wants to win the sprint, the 100-meter sprint. Then, if they want to win that, then they get up earlier in the morning and they do more training and they work harder at it and listen to the coach more intently, and these sorts of things. You put the work in. If that's what you want, if you want the prize, that first prize, you want the accolades that come with it, you put the work in. Now, it may mean that you don't come first. There'll always be someone maybe who's put that bit more work in or a little bit better at it or whatever. But if you put the work in, you'll do much better than you would have otherwise done. So the merit system raises all standards of those that aspire to come first or aspire to do well, because they have to try harder, work harder, study harder, train harder, do whatever it is. And that raises the standard for everybody. Now, the reverse is when there's no meritocracy, no first prize, the standard is lowered, because no one needs to try, no one needs to work harder, no one needs to do better, no one needs to hit the books and stay up at night burning the candle at both ends while they study their asses off. You just don't need to do that anymore. You can just casually and carelessly just be a passenger, and you'll still come a delusional first rather than an actual first. So when President Trump, or now that President Trump has embarked on the course of unwinding the DEI and the AA, it's not as easy as it seems. Now, I wish them every success and hope that they achieve it. And I'm sure if they stay at it and are focused on it for long enough, they'll make a very big difference. But really, you've now got an entire system of government and of even in the private sector and all over the place, the schools everywhere, that's heavily invested in. Everybody comes first. Everybody gets a participation trophy. And the real enemy is all those Nazis, that type of thing. So, white supremacy. So now, when a merit system is brought back in, then you'll find the mix of people who are getting hired as pilots, who are getting hired as university lecturers, who are getting hired into as head of research in this, and so the head scientist in the rocket to Mars department, or thing, they'll pretty much all be straight white males. And so this would be, well, we told you it's white supremacy. No. The people who are prepared to work hard, study, and hit the books, they're the ones that are going to get these jobs and get these positions. Not 100% exclusively, but so there's a publicity issue here, and a concurrent to unwinding DEI, there needs to be I think a publicity campaign there that points out, well, these are the benefits. If you want a cure for cancer, if you want that doctor to be able to operate on your kid and the kid lives, then you need to have merit and to very clearly impress on people, on the populace, on the public, and so this is it. Nothing to do with neo-Nazis. This is about saving your kid. This is about getting the cure for cancer. This is about creating jobs. This is about creating new businesses that employ lots of people on with well-paid jobs and so on and so forth. Now, I don't get lost on the Trump administration, but they really need, I believe, really need to push that one hard. Coming back now to my experience with companies, having to turn around, these are private businesses, having to turn around companies that have again lost their way. And in every case, they've gone down a path of non-meritorious conduct. Merit's gone out the window. Friends, relatives, concubines, you name it, are getting hired and given cushy job, being paid well above what they should get paid. They're getting given accolades and rewards they haven't earned. They're being given prestige that they haven't gained. Executive parking spots and keys to an executive washroom. All this sort of thing that they haven't earned, they haven't achieved or accomplished or built or created anything. They've just been gifted these jobs, which of course is part of a DEI, affirmative action, race, gender quota thing. People just get gifted things without having earned it. Now, if you have earned it, then the difference in a company or business or any undertaking is huge. You have people who've earned their positions because they have, accomplished and created and so on. And the sort of work and job they do, the commitment to the details, the determination to produce positive outcomes and worthwhile outcomes, all these sorts of things, and the focus on doing your job. Once the meritocracy goes, then the focus everyone has is on petty bickering and rooting out evil neo-Nazis that are everywhere, and HR departments running after people, going after people because they supposedly misgendered somebody. That's all the energy and effort and time gets put into those sorts of unproductive, pointless things. Again, the petty bickering and school children in the schoolyard playing house and all this sort of stuff, when the real work is being ignored. And this was the case every time. So now, remember, everyone's invested in that staying the same, because once you talk about introducing or reintroducing merit into the equation, then again, it flashes through everybody's mind. Well, hold on, with merit, that means that someone has to come first, someone comes last, there are people that don't come first, and so on and so forth. If there's merit, people are going to be looking at the job I'm doing, deciding whether or not I'm doing it, or doing it well enough, or doing it at all, and then I'm going to be accountable to an independent, impartial standard of competence. I don't want that. It's the same as passing a test at school. If at school, I always used to come last, or in the middle, or down the bottom, So I don't want that. I don't want a merit system, because that'll show me up for being, the lazy, incompetent, parasite passenger that I am. So, so that flashes through everyone's mind. Now, the guys that, the people that do work hard, that are committed or prepared to, they don't mind that, but they're never in the majority. And so in a merit system, the people that are prepared to accept judgment and their responsibilities and so on, they will naturally, in most cases, they will naturally rise to the top and make sure that other people do their job as well, and make sure people that don't do their job either don't get hired or don't stay. Whereas in a non-merit system, someone who and I see this all over the place, someone who works hard and turns up for work on time and does their job well and is credentialed, so they're likely to get fired because of some vague miasma. They're not really fitting in. They upset the black lesbian in the corner. She feels that she's being shown up by this straight white. So here, this is the difference. So as you're introducing or pushing or changing a system from non-merit to merit, you have a lot of resistance and a lot of people who are heavily invested in non-meritorious conduct and behaviour and organisation and so on. And in every occasion, I had people streaming to my office door saying, well, look, why don't you expect merit from everyone else, but not from me? Hey, why should I have to be subject to meritorious thing? But the clear thing was that of the people that were there in these places, there was maybe a few that were capable of working in a merit system but weren't, and the rest, you wouldn't hire. I mean, you wouldn't hire them. You just plain wouldn't. None of them should have been in those jobs. I think some of them may have been, prepared to work in a merit arrangement. But when a non-meritorious participation trophy system was introduced, hey, I don't mind this. It certainly takes the pressure off me. They would think I don't have to do such a good job anymore. No one's looking over my shoulder about working hard, as long as I use the right pronouns and I'm nice to the black lesbian over there, then no one's going to care. It's I'm ideologically employed now, not commercially and productively employed. And so these were key differences, and the investment these people had in non-merit was huge. So that I found that trying to introduce merit, and this comes back to what President Trump and his team are doing, that when I tried to reintroduce merit to this again, a private commercial company, the resistance was almost total. Everybody was fighting it. They would Hitler's, he's Hitler, and again, neo-Nazi. So all of this sort of stuff would go, same as you see today by the globalist media against Trump. So all that sort of stuff was going on, which just made the struggle harder and harder, because it wasn't that Billy Bob is trying to introduce a merit system. It's he's doing something terribly sinister, and he's out to get us all. These type of attitudes, and there were people there was a guy who was doing a full-time course at university, some MBA, and he was going. So he'd arrive in the morning and shuffle a few papers around, then he'd just head off to and this was a university course, but you could do it over 2 years, or you could do it over 12 months, but you had to turn up every day for lectures at the time. I think that's how it was. And so he would come in the morning early and shuffle a few papers around. He'd head off to university while claiming he was going to go out and see customers or something like that. And then he'd come back at 5:30 and shuffle a few more papers around, then go home. So it was a tough day out there. But because it was a non-meritorious system, no one had followed him up. No one had said, well, what are you doing exactly? Who are you seeing? Who are you talking to? What have you accomplished? And I was the first one, because I went to his boss, who was like the director of sales or something. And I said, well, what's that guy doing? Like, he turns up early and comes in, late, but what does he actually do? And the guy was running protection and cover for him, because this has been going on for a while. So the sales director didn't want to sort of spill the beans on it, because then that would reflect on him. So this is the wider effect of participation trophy type structures, is that everyone is invested in it. And the sales director was, well, gee, I don't want to tell Billy Bob what's really going on here. Otherwise, he's going to want to fire me for letting it happen. And so I won't say anything and just hope Billy Bob doesn't notice. But I did follow it up and found out what was going on. So the guy was only 6 weeks away, or a month or so away from finishing his course. So I tried to sort of accept when I found out what was going on. I tried to say, look, buddy, you've just about finished your course, it's so close to the end now. You might as well finish it. You've got away with it for this long, but you've been paid a number of bonuses. Your manager has signed off on a number of bonuses you got. You're going to have to repay those. You have not earned or ever earned those bonuses. That's all been done under fakery and false pretenses and so on. He was outraged at it. No, it's my money. You can't have it. And he's been doing university full time for a year. He was outraged that he was being held to account. So this is part of the delusion of DEI and mediocrity, is that people are entitled to these things. Look at the illegal aliens coming into the West. The sense of entitlement is off the charts, and And this guy was the same. There are numerous other instances like that and behaviours like that where people thought that they were entitled to it. So once the standards slip away from merit, then an odd sense of entitlement comes in that has no relationship to any form of merit. Now, it's different if you come first in the maths test and you think you're entitled to the maths prize. Well, yeah, that's how it works. That's not a sense of entitlement. That's an actual entitlement with a tight relationship between accomplishment and an outcome. But these are people who have no concept of accomplishment or building anything, but still have this off-the-chart sense of entitlement. So the amount of energy it took, this is for me, the amount of energy it took to institute merit was huge. At the end of the day, I was exhausted because I did nothing but do battle with people who were opposed to merit and who had various friends. They would have friends on the board of directors, for example, or people they knew, and they'd make sure they got a lunch or a dinner over at someone's house on the weekend, and they would say, "Oh, Billy Bob's he's giving us a real hard time here." And so the next thing you know, there'd be an extraordinary board meeting would be called, and I'd be dragged in and get a dressing down from the board of directors because that man is my sister's best man's friend at the wedding of the daughter of and there was always some sort of social connection there. Again, to the cronyism of mixing in with mediocrity here, but they were able to successfully run rearguard actions, like a globalist media campaign, rearguard actions to prevent me from or slow me down. It didn't stop me from doing it. But I was well paid and all that sort of stuff. But it was in terms of emotional energy and the struggle, because you're fighting against people that are doing the wrong thing. They're stealing. They're corrupting. They're undermining. They're doing all bad things for the company. And if I'd say, look, do you realise the company's going to go bust if this continues? And then you lose your job as everyone else will. There'll be nothing here at all. And the amount of times I got to look, just a shoulder shrug. Why should I care? I'll grab and steal and pilfer what I can while I can. And if it goes, then it goes, and I'll just find something else. That type of attitude, I was staggered at that. I just couldn't comprehend it because with a change in attitude, the company can be saved. Yeah, but why should that come at my expense? So that's it. So it's no easy task instituting merit, because in merit there are fewer immediate direct winners. Long term, there are many winners, but with these equity programs, the appearance is that everyone's a winner first off. But in reality, over time, given the decline of standards, the decline in new wealth creation, then everyone becomes a loser. That's not apparent at the outset because it looks like, oh, wow, this is incredible. I'm coming first now, even though I'm a lazy fuck. But when you look at it in that wider perspective, then merit is going to rescue us all. But to the freeloaders, it doesn't appear that way. And it will therefore be a tough gig turning the situation in the United States away from diversity and equity inclusion back into merit. You've been Tacitus today, your Pushback channel. Thank you for listening.